Now I'm going to actually make a map for you. Now that we understand a bit of why make maps, let's take a look at a specific map. So to make a mind map, you need to have some unlined paper available to you and some colored pens, and hopefully you have some time and you're not feeling that you're pressed for time or you're going to be interrupted, because the most creative work you'll do is when you can just allow yourself to really relax and let the ideas occur to you. So suppose I want to make a map on the 7 intelligences theory, Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences. Well, that's a big mouthful. How could I represent that symbolically? 7 intelligences.
Seven brains.
7 brains, okay.
7 in a book.
7 in a book. Okay, 7 in a book would be a little easier, and you can always opt for a symbol that's easier to create. So we'll make a little open book here, and we'll put 7. Now that might not be enough for me to remember the topic later. So I could write Howard Gardner's name perhaps across here. And if I still might not remember, I could maybe put the word intelligences here too. I'm printing the words for a couple reasons. One is it's more memorable to the brain, a printed word, so it'll be easier for you to recall. And secondly, you can read it later when you go to read your notes, which some people have admitted to having difficulty with. I used to write my notes as rapidly as I could just to keep up with what was being said and not miss anything important. And then I would get them home, and it was really a lot of work to read them, so I usually never looked at them again. We want to make some notes that are easy to look at again and easy to read at a glance. So the printing helps with that. Now I've got my topic represented with a simple symbol. And as someone mentioned, we could have drawn a brain with 7 brains, or we could have drawn a brain with 7 lines coming out of it. I'll make a little small brain shape over here as another possible way we could do that. Once you have the central image, add some color. Again, color is going to access the right hemisphere and help you be more creative in your thinking. And there's another thing that happens when you're just coloring in, sort of like you're sitting and doodling. You're not really working at anything. The right hemisphere does a lot of work when you're relaxed and you're not focusing on a task. That's where a lot of good ideas generate. And you can think of that, for example, the last time you did something that you thought was really good, you thought, oh, this is a great idea. I've solved a problem. I'm pretty creative. Now, if you can remember a specific time when you came up with a creative solution to a problem, think about that time and think about whether or not you were working at your desk when you had that thought. Okay? Anybody have an example of where you were when you had a good creative thought that you're willing to admit?
I was outside doing some landscaping, and the idea came to me.
Okay, out in the yard doing some landscaping.
While I was driving.
Driving in the car is a real common time to get good ideas. Sometimes people say just as they're falling asleep or just as they're waking up or taking a shower, very much away from the desk and the work, where you're kind of almost trying to force yourself to think. The thinking, the really creative thinking, occurs when you're not forcing it. So I'm sitting here just coloring in my little drawing. And I'm allowing the thoughts to occur to me. I know what my topic is. I have it right in front of me, but I'm not working at it. Now it's possible that as I'm sitting here coloring and doodling, someone walks into my office and says, what are you doing? This could happen to you. You could be at work, you could be coloring and doodling, and somebody comes into your office. What are you doing? You just turn to them and you say, I'm accessing the right hemisphere of my cerebral cortex. What are you doing? And that'll slow them down. Okay, that is what we're doing. Now I have my central image. I'm going to let the ideas occur to me in any order. Even an idea that might seem barely connected to this will go on the page for now, because this is a generation phase of mapping. So the first idea I have is that one of the intelligences Gardner mentions is musical intelligence. Now, there's a couple ways I could record that. One would be on a line coming from anywhere from the center. It doesn't matter where you start. Just printing the word music or musical so that it's very legible. Of course, with music, it seems so easy to just maybe draw a few lines that look much more like you're showing musical notation. It doesn't have to be anything exact, but it'll give the feeling of music. So there's a couple ways to represent the musical intelligence. Now, I might have some other thoughts about musical intelligence, and those would go right here on this part of the map. I might think about drumming. I think about drumming because it's something I'm learning to do and I really enjoy. I'm even going to put just a smiling face here next to the drum. And then I might give some more thought to drumming, because it seems to me there are many cultures where musical intelligence, drumming or dancing or singing, are automatic. It's not that some people have it. Everyone in the culture does this. It's expected. So we all have that potential, but we may live in a culture where we haven't developed it yet. So any other thoughts I have about musical intelligence could go here or here. If I'm thinking, well, what about in a learning situation? How can I involve the musical intelligence? Well, there could be background music. I could experiment with different types of music, particularly classical music that's good for while people are learning. There could be music to add a mood, maybe just to have people feel like they're in a good mood when they come into a learning situation, have some really upbeat music. All my ideas about music go here.
50,000, there's 100 over there, 100 over, and this here brain's got some other nice things too. It can help you have a good time with a friend, and I'll let you use your imagination. Up, we got a mill over there, a cool mill for this one, and this other neat things this here brain can do. This brain's got some things I hadn't even thought of. Do you realize you could plan a whole wedding with this? Do you realize you could make a building grow from scratch? Do you realize you could plant corn with this here brain? All kinds of things. Oh, we got 10, 15, 20.
So the seventh intelligence, I will represent it this way and see if it makes sense to you. We could represent it like this, or like this. It's bodily kinesthetic. Definitely an important intelligence. I'll just put bodily. But bodily kinesthetic is one that I always think of in terms of this kind of intelligence is the kid who maybe drops out of high school, doesn't feel very smart, doesn't think that he has a high IQ. Maybe he goes down to the corner gas station and he fiddles around there and repairs cars. Now, who taught him to repair cars? How did he understand engines and cars and the complexity of all these different makes and models? Well, he learned by kind of fiddling around with the motors and engines and trying it. That kind of intelligence, the ability to take something and physically manipulate it, is an incredible intelligence that we may have overlooked or not really valued in schools in the past. If you're watching this on video, I suggest that you take a break and begin again when you have time, when you can play music in the background and feel unrushed and just allow your ideas to flow. So here's the topic. Imagine yourself in a situation where you've asked a futurist, a very well-known futurist, to come speak to your school. Not only that, but you managed to get a gypsy fortune teller who also is willing to come to your school. Both of them are going to tell you how they see the future of education. Well, you're really looking forward to hearing this, so is everybody else. The gypsy and the futurist are out in the front hall getting ready to give their talks, and they get into a terrible argument about the future. They don't agree at all on what's going to happen. As a matter of fact, they're both so angry that they storm out of the building, forgetting why they were there, and leaving you with no one to give a lecture. The future of education. You've got a few minutes to plan it, but what are you going to say? Well, you get out your paper, you get out your markers, you know how to mind map, and you decide, I'm going to really try the mind mapping now. I'm going to just put everything I can think of that might be part of the future of education, and I'll take the opportunity to tell people what I hope it'll be. I'll try to paint a really good picture, a wonderful future. So take some time now to do that, or take a break and come back and try it later. Okay. Again, for this map, you want to create a good environment. Don't feel rushed. Enjoy the process. Play some music in the background. It's also very useful if you can make mind maps with a partner. Each one of you will make your own map and follow the directions that I gave you. But when you're finished with that map, you turn to your partner and you share whatever is on your map. You walk your partner through your map. Explain each element of the map, what you drew, what it represents, and your partner should then ask you questions or make comments about the map. This will give you some new ideas. When you get a new idea from your partner, write it on the map, right where it fits with the other concepts. You'll find that you can add new ideas to the map very easily. Then listen to your partner's ideas, ask questions of your partner, and again, record ideas on your map as they're generated. This is going to give you a greater wealth of opportunity to share and learn from someone else. Mapping with partners is very valuable. If you don't have the opportunity to try it right now, the next time you're practicing mapping, ask someone else to join you.